right, awesome. What's popping, everybody? This is the Satrix Money School podcast, the perfect place to get you guys kick-started on financial literacy. But this is where we literally talk about the complexity of money and how to break it down into simple, clear, practical lessons that'll help you guys, on a daily basis. And of course, I am your host. My name is Karabo. And each episode, I'll be sitting down with South Africans who have walked the talk, right? We're literally be talking about what worked, what didn't work, and ultimately what they would have done differently. So I'm having the privilege to sit with entrepreneurs, investors, and content creators, right? Which is really awesome. All right, guys, so first and foremost, let's give a huge shout out to Satrix. Own the market. They're all about making investment smart and simple. And they also understand the complexities of investing, hence why they strive to make the platform easy and simple. All right, so up next, I'll be joined by an extraordinary individual. I've got Andile Khumalo. We're going to be speaking about how to make money work for you. All right, awesome. So I'm joined in studio with Andile Khumalo, an extraordinary individual, man. We know him as a chartered accountant, an investor, entrepreneur, and also a media personality. I promise his energy is so, exuberant, powerful. Listen, we're going to be talking about how to make money work for you. Right now, I'm joined on the platform by Andile Khumalo. Ndate, how are you, sir?
I'm very well, man. How are you doing, Karabo?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining us. Listen, we're going to be talking about how to make money work for you. We're in a space where we're not just learning about money, but also to make money work for us. But first and foremost, Mr. Andile, what comes to mind when you hear about financial literacy?
I guess, as the word says, it's about being able to be conversational or know the basics of finance. What actually comes to mind is like not knowing a language. When they say you're illiterate in a particular language, you can't communicate, you can't understand what people are saying, you can't express your thoughts in a particular language. So it's almost like you know nothing, and that's I guess the same with financial literacy or illiteracy. It's the ability to be able to deal with and understand how money works, how to generate it, how to spend it wisely, to invest it, the basic concepts around money, I don't know, interest rates, exchange rates, expenses, income, assets, liabilities. So it's the ability to be able to be au fait with the topic of finance. That's what I would say.
I like that.
That's what I think. I would say this makes sense to me.
I like that. And obviously, Andile, I've asked this question a lot, for individuals that came on the platform. And I also got to understand that, when it comes to matters of money, it not only affects people of color, but also a lot of white people have stated that they also come from backgrounds where money was not also spoken about from their parents. Why do you think that we somehow struggle, mostly as people of color, to somehow have discussions of money, just so when we get into a space where we grow up, we understand a little bit more about money, how to save, how to invest?
I think it's because savings and investing are seen as the thing you do when you still have money at the end of the month. Our parents had too much month at the end of the money. That's the problem. So the conversation about investing or saving didn't happen because the money ran out long before the month ended. I mean, I remember as a kid, my mom was a teacher. And she used to say to me, and I remember asking her when I was a teenager, Ma, what did you mean when you used to say that? She used to say, like, by the 10th, my money's finished. I'm like, I don't understand. Like, what do you do with the rest of the 20 days? Like, no, the rest of the 20 days is money to go to work. It's money to go to work.
Oh, man.
And money to feed you. And after that, there's no other money. So I guess it didn't come up, Karabo, because it wasn't a thing that our parents did, even though they were contributing to pension funds. They were contributing to provident funds. So in truth, they were making investments, but it wasn't a very conscious act because your contribution to your GEPF, I guess for my mother as a teacher, was this automatic deduction that came off her salary. It's not money she took out of her account and kind of went to go and invest. So it wasn't a very overt and deliberate thing. So I guess that's why she didn't feel like she was investing, but in truth she was. So I think it's just that. I think that the income or the cash or the ability to have the liquidity to then invest it into various financial products just wasn't there. So
Yeah.
therefore, it wasn't our reality.
Yeah.
We didn't talk
Yeah.
about it because it's not the thing we did.
True. And also now on your behalf, Babandile, was this something that you had naturally, knowing about money, or did you also have to learn the hard way, going to school, the school of life teaching you, just the importance of money?
It's funny with me, man, Karabo. For whatever reason, I was attracted to money. Hey? I don't know why. I can't really tell you why. I
Hey,
just want,
hey,
when
Andile,
I
receive.
remember. You receive.
Yay!
The concept fascinated me. The things that money could do.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid, we used to play betting games with our lunch money. And our betting games were based on football, not even field. It was on the street.
Yeah.
Sidlala amapala amancane,
Yes,
which for
minipala,
those that don't
minipala.
understand this Zulu. Yeah, minipala. So minipala, ishintsha to ipelo 4, So whoever gets to 2 goals first, yeah, chinja, because the road was like this. So
Yes.
the guy was scoring up the hill at it harder than the guy was going down the hill. So it had to change, to be fair. And we used to bet money. We used to bet money, like 10 cents, 20 cents, whatever.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that entire exercise, And then later on, I started selling sweets at school. I delivered newspapers when I was in school. I even sold Tupperware and table chalk when I was in school. So I always had the knack for being enterprising with money, and I like counting it. I like the hard cash, like the hard cash.
Yeah.
So no, I didn't. It didn't, even though we didn't grow up rich. I can't say we were poor either.
Yeah.
Because we ate every night. I went to school, I had clothes. So I actually think that I was very middle class in Black South African standards. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think we were fine. I think
So
people sometimes.
You had DSTV.
No, we didn't have DSTV. I had TV1, TV2, TV3, TV4, and then Robert Marawa went on SABC1, and then we had SABC1, SABC2, Simunye, with Simunye groups. Like, no, we didn't have DSTV. We did have a car, which is good. Sometimes they measure these things in stupid ways. I remember LSM measures used to measure whether you had a microwave. We certainly had a microwave, so maybe we were higher LSM because of the microwave. So I didn't carry with me, I guess, my mother or my aunts and uncles or my grandparents' experience of money into adulthood. Like I understood that we didn't have the ability to get whatever we wanted. Because my mom would tell me. So I knew, would see mang ting or something. Hey, I need to tell her 3 months before that I needed 6 months later. Then she's got 9 months to work at it. So I knew all those things, but it's weird now that you ask me. I don't remember just adding that with me, because of that now I'm maybe intimidated by money, or I don't know what I'm doing. No, I was very interested. And I guess to that extent, I was very good at mathematics and accounting in school. And that's how I ended up, even qualifying as a CA, because I really wanted to be in business.
Yeah.
Not because I wanted to be an accountant. I actually wanted to be in business. So I was attracted by the challenge of money, not discouraged by it, if that makes sense.
Beautiful. Listen, with Andile, I'm actually even hearing you, teaching your mother already how to save. You were saying you would tell your mother 3 months before, so that 6 months she's able to make it happen. You're already teaching your mother how to save. Oh man, that's awesome. With Andile, as I mentioned before, in the introduction, that you wear many hats. You're a chartered accountant, as you mentioned, investor and entrepreneur. Let's talk a little bit about your journey with money and how that has evolved over time.
Ooh. So, first of all, it's still evolving.
Yeah.
It's still evolving. I don't think it ever stops.
Yeah.
It doesn't really, man. I'm 47 now.
Wow.
I grew up being used to being the youngest amongst all my friends and kind of peer groups generally. So, but now I'm the Rotman now, I When people your age coming to me like say, "Hey, look, man, hey,"
Hey.
like I used to be that guy just
Yeah.
yesterday. By the way, it doesn't feel like it was a long time ago.
Wow.
So
Wow. Wow.
I guess as you get older and I don't know, quote unquote, become a little bit more successful, I
Mhm.
guess your relationship becomes slightly different with money.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I have this experience, at least my own life lesson is that money is most important for people that don't have it.
Mm. Mm.
People that have money, especially that have huge amounts of it,
Mm.
um,
People like
value
us.
money differently.
Mm.
No,
Mm. Mm.
wait a minute. No, people that have like a crap load of money,
Yeah. Yeah.
they will tell you that there are other things that are more important in life than money. But
Wow. Mm-hmm.
you see, they've earned the right or been lucky enough in life
Mm.
to have made the money to afford such opinions. The majority of us, the majority of our people, can't afford that opinion because you got to afford that
Wow.
opinion. For you
Wow.
to even be able to say, "Oh, hey, money is no object, or it's not the most important
Yeah.
thing,"
Yeah. Yeah.
and hey, don't
Hey.
say that to someone who doesn't have the money.
Ish. Ish.
Yeah, the person who doesn't have the money is the most important thing because they don't have
Mm.
it, right? And they need it to live. They need to provide for their loved ones and provide for themselves. So I think starting out when I started working, I guess I've always been a responsible spender.
Yeah. Mm.
I've always been the kind of person that wants to enjoy life thoroughly,
Mhm.
but doesn't want to struggle. You know, I've never
Wow.
enjoyed the idea of struggle. So, because of poverty, not poverty, because I didn't grow up rich,
Yeah.
because I'm very clear. I'm very, very clear about what poverty is. You know,
Mm.
just slight digression. You know, when you're black and you live in South Africa and you went to a decent school, you ate every day, you had clothes every day, you had shoes to school,
Yeah.
you had a car at home, you went to university, you should never say you come from poverty, like
Wow.
ever,
Yeah.
because you know what poverty is like. It wasn't
Yeah.
far away from where you grew up. It could have
Yeah.
been your next door neighbor,
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
who lived
Yeah.
a very different life.
Yeah.
Iy'ngane zakhona zihamba ngey'nyawo zesikoleni, azinazo
Mm.
iy'cathulo.
Mm.
Your other friend was very bright in class, uhlala komjondolo, wena uhlala kuma-four room with brick houses. His house leaks every night it rains.
Wow.
That's poverty.
Yeah.
What you went is not poverty. So I think that's njengoDaki sinokusipha sonke, hey, because
Mm.
sonke sazabalaza sonke asihluphekanga ngokufana.
Mm.
And I think we must respect
Mm.
and acknowledge what poverty is by
What?
not
Yeah.
claiming to
Yeah.
come from poverty when we didn't. We didn't come from poverty. We came
Mm.
from, in relative Black South African terms, a relatively middle life. So I grew up in a township, but
Mm.
Sakibela, my parents were teachers, they earned a living, there was
Mm.
food.
Mm.
Ngikhumbula nje ngilamba kuthiwe hey akukho ukudla namhlanje. It's never happened. So
Wow.
I don't. So it's not poverty, right?
Mm.
But what the answer to your question is my relationship with money has always been
Yeah.
conservative. I've never wanted to go back to I need something and I can't get it,
Mm.
or my child needs something and they can't get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
always wanted to live a life where if there is a need for something, not a want, just a need.
Yeah.
If your child is going on a school trip and they need a suitcase, the
Yeah.
answer my mother would give me is "Sizoyithenga a month in."
Wow. Mm.
That was what my mother would say.
Yeah.
And now corner, she probably needs to now, delay something else to make the
Just to make
suitcase
that.
happen.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I wanted when my child says, "Baba, we're going away on a school trip. I need a suitcase." I
Mm.
wanted to say, "Okay, after school tomorrow, we're going to get a suitcase." I didn't want to have to
Yeah.
think about a need. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been my relationship with money, and generally I've been okay. I'm bad at spoiling myself. That's the one thing I'm bad at. My friends give me grief about it all the time. Um, but I indulge as and when life requires, but
Listen.
not as much as some of my mates.
Listen. But Andile, a lot of individuals have spoken on the platform, and they also spoke about a mindset, right, when it comes
Yeah,
to handling money. And for you now, from your
yeah,
context, let's say from your context, obviously Umama, was a teacher, but obviously she wasn't making as much
yeah.
as one would need. How then did that
Yes.
mindset for you? When did that mindset shift, where you were able to now say, listen, I can use money, but not frivolously, especially when you come from a background where, you know, you were not able to use money willingly. But how did you then get that mindset to say, I can spend, but not spend to a point where I'm losing it all? Not a lot of people, you know, but Andile, who come from, you know, Kukasi, you know, who have a mindset where if they get something now, they're at a club, they're with girls, they're splitting it. You know, I was speaking with an entrepreneur that came on a platform, but Andile. He shared his story, which was so profound. He made his first millions in his previous business, but he said he had a wound, a scar, right, of being born Kokasi. So the only way he would patch that scar was living a life that he never had. You know, girls around clubs, and
Yeah.
he blew the business money that closed.
Yeah.
Those millions,
Yeah.
he blew it. And that was his story because of the pain, the scars that he
Yeah.
had. He patched it with, you know, trying to
Yeah.
spend. For you, I want to speak
Yeah.
about that mindset. You know, how did that mindset happen where you were able to say, listen, I can spend, but I've got a limit. You know, I want to discipline myself.
Yeah. I think we get scarred in one of two ways. Your previous parents got scarred in that way. And that's the one we often see, right? But that's the one people talk about. That's the stuff you observe.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you see a guy splashing the cash, wada, wada, wada. The other scar, which I think I carry, is I never want to be without. Because I know what it's like not to be, to have, not to have. I know what it's like to be without. So then the scar is that you become too conservative.
Mm.
So even when you've got the means to fly business class every time you travel, you always go economy.
Yeah.
You could pay for the business class flight, but you go, I'm flying to this place. Why do I need to sit in business class?
Yeah.
Spend an extra 20 grand. I'm not spending extra 20 grand. You can.
You can.
You've worked hard enough. You have it. It's probably not going to make a big difference in your life that you spent an extra 20 grand on the flight.
Yeah.
It's probably not.
Yeah.
But your trauma, your mindset is, I come from a life where when money was needed, it either wasn't there, and therefore you're not going to get the thing you want, or you have to wait an inordinate amount of time to get it. Even but if the money is eventually there, that thing that you wanted anyway, you don't want it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the trauma I carry is preservation. I want to make sure it's there. So what I do, I do well, I make it, I use it, but certainly not with the comfort that, you know, I can just go in and I'm confident that I'll make it again.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you live with this trauma in your mind, like, what if this all goes away? Because the truth, Karabo, is if it all goes away, there's a high chance that we're all moving back to Soweto. We're all moving back to Mlazi. It's not far off the truth. Absolutely. It was bad. I'm going back to Mlazi in KZN, brother. I'm going to my grandmother's house. I'm talking to the back room, and so that's the image that I'm traumatized by.
Wow.
I'm just traumatized by. I'm not going back to that. I don't want anyone I love going back to that. I don't want to take my wife and my kids to that because I decided to splash. I don't even know how to splash. So what the hell am I doing? So don't splash. But then you can take it too far, and you start. What's the right word I'm looking for? Robbing yourself, cheating yourself from the joys of life because you're really anxious about losing it all. That's the trauma.
Wow, man. Wow, man. So, listen,
So
Andile,
two wide extremes, two very wide extremes.
Yeah.
But we're both sick. We're both unwell.
Hey, listen, no, I think it's such a serious conversation that can help, you know, shift that mindset that a lot of, you know, people Bakokasi, when they get something, to understand that, listen, you don't want to go back, you know, think about, you know, the forward, you know, way of living. But Andile, you've always alluded to, you know, making money work for you. And oftentimes that is seen as a cliche.
Yeah.
You know, what does it mean to be in a space where money works for you?
Oh man, so many things. I mean, I guess it depends where you're at in life, right? So most of us generate income by exchanging our time and skill for a salary. That because we're employed by somebody, or the kind of work we do is that we give up our day. We get up in the morning, we go to work, come back in the afternoon, and somebody's compensating us for giving a day of our lives to them.
Yeah.
Whether it's a client or an employer. So there you are working for the money. My argument is that if you do that well enough and consistently enough, you will get to a point where you can start making financial decisions where, in addition to this money that you work for every day, because we all work every day.
Yeah.
Unless you're a billionaire, you don't have to. Even the billionaire wants to work because, it's work is more than just paying the bills. Work is about the fulfillment you feel as a human being to have been productive. It's an innate need we have in us. God planted this thing in us to be productive. That's why even if you're rich, if you sit at home every day, you'll start getting depressed because the body wants to be stimulated. The mind wants to be stimulated. The body wants to move. That's how we were built. So work is not just the money. So I'm a believer that there is a point you can get to where you've done the hard work, you've seen the rewards, and now the work can be done by the money. And really what I mean by that is investments, not savings.
Yeah.
Investments. In other words, what can I take my money to and allocate it in such a way that I do nothing and it just gives me returns?
Wow.
And that's why the investment industry globally is worth trillions of dollars, is because it's the ultimate place that everybody wants to be. Where I can choose not to go to work today, but I know that through my investments, I don't have to, because I can feed my family, because now I've worked hard enough and now I can let money work for me. The beauty of the principle, though, is that it can start for as little as 199 rand a month.
Yeah.
There are many products out there that can get you into the market for very, very little. There's a product I often see. It's called an ETF. An ETF stands for an exchange traded fund. Now, an ETF is essentially a conglomeration of little units that can buy you access to a package of goods.
They call it a basket of investments.
That's all it is. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But you know what you have access to? The market. The same market the billionaires have access to. Yes, your return is on your 199 rand versus a return of billions of rands, but you got to start somewhere.
Exactly.
And if you can get that habit going for yourself as early as you can, and be interested in the markets, be interested in results, be interested in CEOs talking, be interested about what's happening in the world, Trump, tariffs, the peace treaty that's now happening in Palestine and Israel, how that affects the world, you will only get better over time.
True.
And one day, when you do have more money, and when you're making those investments, you are even more educated about what you're doing. So
I like that.
I encourage investments big time.
I like that. And also, can you just share one pivotal moment, right, that changed, in your journey, how you, think about wealth and also financial independence?
One point in my life was probably the first chunk of cash I made.
Whew. I received.
Yeah. Yeah. In life, you make money, like you earn.
There's no ways I'm gonna speak to you and my life remains the same. It's impossible. I'm joining you.
Yeah. And I'd be surprised if people don't give the same answer, though.
Yeah.
That has to be the moment where you thought, okay, this is life changing.
Yes.
Because before then, uyasebenza uyahola, after kushaya ngebonus lana, or hey, one client is good, there's a small thing. But when you've got like a windfall, I mean, we sold a business. That's how we made that money. We sold a business to a global. Just reduce my aircon here. It's getting hot. We sold our business to a global company, and they paid us handsomely in foreign currency.
Wow.
And it was just super life changing. Like your world view of things just immediately changes. It just does. Like your outlook of what's possible and what's not possible, because now you have the means, immediately changes. Because we're all enslaved by our imagination. That's all. Yeah. The only thing that limits our ability is how far we can imagine and dream. And when you grow up without, you imagine without. And when you, for a moment, have, your eyes lighten up and you're like, oh, is this what the world looks like?
Wow.
Oh, I could do that now. Oh, I saw something in, I don't know, India. I heard they started some business about 1, 2, 3, 4, some app. I'd love to go and experience that. Book a flight, go to India. Like you can do that now,
Yeah.
tomorrow. You don't have to, there's no credit card you must think about. There's no loan you must think about. No, you just literally go online and book a flight. That's, I'm talking about, that's a small thing. But you'd be amazed how even those small things don't exist. Think about it. Right? That is unemployed. And you ask him to tell you his wildest dreams. I guarantee you, his wildest dreams are going to be likely going to be in the context of his world.
Yes.
I'm unemployed in Telekas.
Yeah.
So the things he'll tell you he dreams of are going to sound like that world. It's going to sound like he's lot in life in the moment. Not because he's not ambitious. It's because he his imagination puts him there. So to answer your question, yeah, it was a moment we sold a business. We made this money. I remember going to the ATM. We finished the transaction, but the day it paid out, we were all sitting. We were 3 partners. We were sitting in the office. So the money came into the business account. We had already decided how we're going to split it between us, how much we're going to keep in the business, how much we're going to declare as our own dividends. And I was CFO. So I knew, my one partner is going to get so much, I'm going to get so much. Everyone knew what they were going to get. Like, so the plan was as soon as the money arrives, we're getting together in the office, we grabbing some drinks, and we are paying away. So we sat there. I was behind the laptop. The 2 of them were sitting there laughing at me. The music was going. Staff had already left. And I was on my computer. And every time I pay somebody, the phone would beep and go ding. And it'd be like, oh, that's your money. And you're like, guys, I can't even read this number. And then the guy would be like, where's the comma? Like, where should I put the comma? This long number. So we all have our moments. But when we finished and I went home, well, we went home that night. We chilled a bit in the office, celebrated, but I think we all needed like personal time.
Yeah.
Because the transfer had happened that day, the money was still sitting in the personal accounts. So I drove to an ATM, Karabo. And I did a balance inquiry. One of that slip. I don't know if they still do it. They used to have an option of a screen or a printout.
Yeah, no, no, you are of another level. Yeah, they still do it.
They still do it, right? Okay. Because now we all bank on our phones, right? So I go there, I stick my card in, I put my PIN, and I'm just like, I want you to print.
You want to see?
I still have that.
Wow.
That slip.
Wow. You know what?
So that was the moment.
I'm not gonna lie. But Andile, I can tell. When you talk about your story, and also when you talk about money, the smile on your face, like you are really it's easy. This is your life. Listen, but Andile,
good moments.
Listen, but Andile, we spoke a bit. We spoke before, about a different mindset, that one has to, change. But now let's speak about this mindset that you often refer to, which is a millionaire's mindset, right? What exactly is a millionaire's mindset? And also, how can ordinary people also begin to cultivate this millionaire's mindset?
Look, I think many people call things quite differently. I like to refer to it as an abundance mindset. In other words, I keep referring to growing up not having.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, what you take with you is that I don't have. Back to my trauma. But biggest fear is, again, not to have. So I want to preserve.
Wow.
Another person like your previous guest, his biggest fear is I never live this life. I got to live this life.
Yes.
Those are still traumas. But an abundance mindset says everything is possible under the sun. It really is possible. So I must dream, plan, think through my life and career and choices almost on the assumption that I'm going to do well.
Oh man.
Not on the premise that I'm going to end up back in Lokshi.
Yes.
I must assume the next one is a holiday home at Bentley Bay, Cape Town. The next one is a holiday home at Zimbabwe. The next one might be an apartment in Paris. The next one might be overlooking Central Park in New York. The point I'm making is, if your mindset goes, it's only up from here. The world and the ether and the cosmos is a way of paying you back for that kind of faith. We are
Yeah,
our
yeah.
thoughts. So I'm saying you just gotta think about the fact that wherever I am, I can be. There is every right to believe it can be better than where I am.
Yeah, I like that.
You
I like that.
understand? So
Yes.
if you put on my taxi up high and they take say one, I mustn't think with I must protect this taxi of mine so much because it's the only thing I have. No.
Yeah, yeah.
I want you to think that if you can have one, you can have 10.
I like that. I like that. Wow.
That's a different mindset
I
because
like that.
your entire behavior is about getting to 10.
Oh man.
Whereas if you think, kinale one, all I must do is I must look after this one. You're part of the taxi chance. If this thing it brings food to the table, this is my golden egg. I must look after it.
Wow.
That's not a growth mindset.
Wow.
Believe
Wow.
that you can get 10. Because you've got one already. What stops you from getting 10?
Very true.
You just got to do the same thing 10 times. That's
10
it.
times. Yes. Yes. Listen,
So,
but Andile, we're literally out of time, but I want to ask you quick 5 questions, like just questions that I'm going to ask you. Let's just keep going because I don't want to know, I can't let you go. You are a mile high. We have to get something from you. We have to. Okay, so first and foremost,
I'm in.
yeah, awesome. So first and foremost, what role has financial, literacy played, in shaping your career, but also investment decisions?
Finance is the language of business, Karabo.
Wow, 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 wow.
You cannot speak business if you don't know finance. So if you're in business or have any aspiration of being a participant in the world of business, including being an employee, by the way,
yes,
you gotta be able to speak finance. Otherwise, you're a Zulu guy who only knows how to speak Zulu and he's right there in Hong Kong and he's trying to live a life and he doesn't speak the language. No one will understand what you're saying. No one will care what you're saying. You can protest all you want. So financial literacy has taught me the ability to be a participant what is happening financially. Because if you don't know the language, if you're not literate, you can't participate.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So understanding the language of money, of finance. All right, cool. So, but Andile, I like that. So when it comes to people turning income into, long-term wealth, oftentimes they struggle with that. It's not really easy. What strategies have worked for you turning income into long-term wealth?
Number one, you can't save that which you don't have. So chances are you have a salary and the salary is just about enough to make you live every month. So it's hard to turn that income into long-term wealth. What does that mean? That means we've got to find more income sources.
Beautiful.
What has helped me is building a long list of sources of income. That has changed my life. So what I mean by that, if I was employed, I'd have a job that would pay me a salary. But oftentimes I've got evenings. Oftentimes, I've got weekends. And in this day and age of work from home and all that stuff, there's a lot of latitude you've got with your time. Or you can take a job that only pays you per hour where you freelance so that you're not tied down to office hours. But if you can have various sources of income, what that'll do, it'll start, at first, it'll feel like you're spreading yourself thinly. It'll feel like a lot of hard work, but that's okay. Like all things, when it's new, it's hard, but you'll get used to it. But what it does do is that it gives you other sources of income, which means you can live off your salary, but you can start building the wealth from the other income. The other thing it does is that it puts you in a position to make those once-off big checks. If all you have is a salary and you open a bonus at the end of the year, that's it. That's what a job tells you. That's the maximum you're ever going to have. You're going to have your salary, you're going to have your annual increase, and you're going to have your bonus. You're never going to have anything else. How would you do that? You're a smart young person. God has gifted you with a gift of sorts, with the ability to learn a trade or learn something. Go and learn something and offer that as an additional service for additional revenue. That is what will help you be able to move earnings into investment, not more and more living off one source of income, because you're going to earn and you're going to spend because you have to look after yourself and your loved one.
True.
That's what's helped me.
I like that. Hortman, how do you approach risk when it comes to business and your investing?
Never take risk you don't have to. I've seen so many people take on stuff that they had no reason to. It's got nothing to do with you. So why are you taking on the risk? So if somebody said to me, Andile, I want to offer you an investment deal, and this investment deal is to open a mine in Afghanistan. But, it's going to make all this money. What? Afghanistan? I know Afghanistan, things are not going well. So it's a country I don't live in. I know nothing about Afghanistan. I don't know one. I can't call anyone if I'm in trouble. I've never been. Why am I taking all these risks when I live in South Africa, very vibrant mining country? I know pretty much every province in this country, every corner of this country. If there's a problem, I can probably find someone that can help me fix it. So I can manage my risks much better if I operate in South Africa. That's why our business, all of our investments, companies are domiciled in South Africa. They are South African companies. We support them to grow overseas. But for me, that's not a risk I'm willing to take. I can't go and manage a business in Tunisia, where I just come from now. I have no clue how that country runs. So rule number one, don't take risk you don't have to. Don't.
I like that.
Once it sounds too risky, don't do that. There's more than enough opportunities where your risk can be better managed.
I like that. But Andile Khumalo, last question, just to wrap it up. For somebody, in South Africa who wants to shift away from just surviving to thrive financially, what advice could you give them just to wrap this up?
I'm going to move from surviving to thriving. If you're going to move from surviving to thriving, first of all, I do think it's about the mindset. I do think that mindset of abundance is super important. It doesn't matter what trade you are in, you have to have the abundant mindset. But now what the abundant mindset means is the attitude or a work ethic, irrespective of what job you do. Will Smith had this clip many years ago where he said, even if all you do is sweep the floors, make sure that in that floor sweeping company, you sweep the cleanest floors ever.
Wow.
Because that work ethic of ensuring that nothing comes across you that doesn't leave at the most excellent delivery or quality of delivery. If you take that mindset to the next things you do, you'll just be doing the same thing, except in a different environment.
Wow.
So Karabo is doing an interview of Andile today. How prepared is Karabo? How amazing is he? How much of his personality is he bringing in? How is he ensuring that this is going to be better than the last interview he did? If Karabo does that in every interview, I won't be surprised to see Karabo at the top of his game one day.
Man, I see.
Because it's about the work ethic. It's only about the work ethic. And last thing I'd say, people see it, Karabo. And you'd be amazed how many people are watching. So when you slack down and you're just like, I'm just a little less prepared for this one. I'm like, this one I'm just going to scan through. But now, boy, they're like, oh, no, that's how he is. But if they see that every time I'm with this person, there's an A game that gets delivered every time, then they say, this one here is my kind of person. That's what I would say. So abundant mindset, a work ethic, and be the best at anything you're doing, even if it feels menial, even if it feels like you're doing a low-end job, be the best at that low-end job, because that's the thing that's going to unlock the opportunities you want for yourself.
Oh, man. But Andile, thank you so much, sir. You are a busy man. You're a busy man. You just flew in. You had time with us just to literally give us some nuggets on how to make money work for us. And I hope that all the viewers and listeners tuning in could have gotten some nuggets from an extraordinary individual like you. You're a man of many hats. You've done it all. You're still doing it. So we know for sure that we are in the right hands with you, sir. Thank you so much, Andile.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Take care of yourself.
Thank you so much, sir.
In a world where investments were expensive and out of reach for most, Satrix followed the rhythm of its own drumbeat. In the year 2000, Satrix introduced index tracking to South Africa. Since then, we have made investing accessible to everyone. Through low fees and no minimum investments, we give all South Africans the chance to own the market. Our range of investment products offer diverse access to strategies and asset classes across local and international markets for any stage of your life. We've kept in tempo with our community, winning the Salter People's Choice Award for the last 7 consecutive years. Our cost-effective and award-winning products offer value to individuals and institutions alike. Satrix has managed index tracking funds for institutional clients since 2000. From ETFs and unit trusts to life-pooled and segregated portfolios, to meet the different needs of clients, pension fund members, and organizations. By driving the global cadence of indexation, our bespoke solutions have contributed to Satrix holding the largest market share in the South African ETF industry. And we're expanding our African footprint. At Satrix, indexation is anything but passive. We stand proudly as the drumbeat of possibility. Satrix. Own the market.
All right, awesome. I'm joined in the platform all the way from Cape Town. I've got Siya Nomoyi. We're going to speak about investing versus long-term thinking. This is going to be a lot on the emotional side, of things. Mr. Siya, all the way from Cape Town, sir. How are you doing?
Yeah, hello again, Karabo, and hello to everyone watching and listening. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah.
Money is such a touchy subject. So lots of emotions behind its management, and which makes me really excited to talk about. So and I get into everyone's feelings. So I'm excited to chat about that.
I like that, and I mentioned earlier on that this is a three-peat. You were here for the third time. Are you feeling like, man, I'm tired. I've given so much. I've spoken so much. What more can I say? But I'm not sure there's a lot that you could say because you are quantitative. You got serious.
With this subject, my man, there's just never any feeling of being tired. I can do this all day. So all good to go again.
All right, awesome. So, Siya, we're going to be speaking about, investing versus long-term thinking. And as you did say, it's the emotional side of things. And obviously, when it comes to money, the emotions oftentimes get the best of everyone. Siya, I want to ask you, why do emotions, play a big role when it comes to investing? Even when people should know that they must be, thinking and planning for the long term. Because you did mention that investing must be for the long term. You don't invest for now, right? So, do you want to share on that?
Sure. So, Karabo, I mean, emotions play a big role in investing because investing isn't just about numbers. Unfortunately, we're not just looking at a number on your computer or on your app. It's about human behavior under uncertainty, and I think that's the essence of it. There's the uncertainty bit. We don't know what will happen in the future, but we would like to stay prepared. Right, so the preparing part is quite emotional, and it can be a roller coaster ride. And even people who understand the logic of long-term investing, I'm talking about me, my colleagues, everyone in the investment world, can still be swayed by powerful emotional forces. Some of the reasons that make people behave this way are, for instance, when we invest, we are always anticipating the market to actually go up all the time, which is impossible. When markets fall, fear is triggered. So even if you know a dip is temporary, your instincts actually scream, "Get out before it gets worse." Yeah, exactly. So, which most of the time works out to be being a bad idea. So that's fear triggered. That's the first one. Excuse me. And then losses actually tend to hurt more than actual gains. So you'll see someone who has gained, let's say, 100% of their portfolio in terms of returns. So they've doubled their value from the stock market. Let's say that happens over 2 or 3 years. But on just one day, the returns on the portfolio, the market is 2% down. Suddenly the world is ending. 100% up, and then there's just like one red small line, which is just 2% down, and then you're just panicking. So that's just the nature of it as well. And the certainty bit is always the biggest player here.
Yeah.
So markets are inherently uncertain. When headlines turn negative, people seek comfort by taking action, unfortunately, even if that action selling long-term holdings goes against their plan. So it feels a bit better emotionally to do something than to just sit still and tolerate the volatility. So volatility would be the changes in the pricing, whether you're in whatever the asset class you'll be. So that's the volatility, how much that change can be. So there's also, I need to mention that there's also had behavior issues here. So when you see your peers, people you know, people you follow on social media, they're selling during a market panic, and you're like, oh, they must know something that you don't know. So you just do the same exactly. But lastly, I think there's also an illusion of control when it comes to the markets. Most of the time you think you are in control, and most of the time you actually don't have any of that. I mean, you can buy and sit and just watch the markets. You're really not in control of a lot of things in the market. So often people believe that we can actually predict or outsmart the market, which makes it hard to actually accept any randomness. So when results don't match expectation, frustrations and overconfidence can actually lead to a reactive decision.
Yeah, and obviously, emotions are such a powerful force, and oftentimes, it's easier said than done to use it for good, because oftentimes, allow us to make the worst decisions. Siya, when we're talking about loss, right? Loss happens, especially also in investment, it happens. So when we know that, in life, failure can be a good lesson, but also with emotions in investment, can we also utilize failure as a form of, I'm learning something, can I put my emotions aside? But when it comes to money, it's difficult now to really factor in that I'm learning something when I've really lost some money.
Yeah, true. Because the thing is, that loss is actually real. And it goes back to what I was saying, is that you're not just watching numbers on your PC. It's actually your amount of money that you've invested. Most of the time, it's money that you've actually worked for a very, very long time. And so it's very, very hard to actually separate those two. There's going to be emotions behind it. But throughout your conversation, I'm hoping to actually just unpack ways to actually try and avoid some of the traps that can actually get you into this. And also just making sure that the emotions are there, but you use them for good in terms of how you want to stay in the investments for the long term, and how you actually stay as a person who is actually able to absorb things like market volatility over the long term.
Yeah, listen, Siya, you mentioned earlier on that you are a groot man when it comes to investing. We pause. You've been doing this for a long time, and you did mention in our previous conversation that when you started out in your investment journey, it's pretty much different from where you are now. Obviously now, you're in the big leagues. I'm not quoting you, I'm just saying. So in your own personal experience with Siya, what are some of the most common, emotional investing traps that you've seen, and how can people avoid these traps?
Yeah, so there's a couple of them, man. I've also fortunately tripped into some of them and fell and got bruised and got up and tried again, got bruised again. So it's always a constant learning curve, and which makes it exciting as well. But there's emotions, because I also mentioned that this is real money that you are losing. You put 100 rands into an investment, you expect that to be at least 100 rand when you look at it again and above that. So when you wake up and it's 99 rands, you start panicking, and then next thing it's 80. So there's quite a lot of emotional traps, emotional investing traps that you can actually fall into, and it's very hard to actually avoid. And one of them is fear and panic selling. That is a big driver of losses. I mean, which excuse me, I think I've mentioned that already. So selling investments when markets fall sharply to actually stop the bleeding. So the reason why this is so hard is that the brain just interprets the financial loss as a threat to safety. Let's say you were much safer to just have your 100 rand in your pocket, and then you've put this in the market, and now it's down and it's less than what you actually put in. Now you're just fearing for what you're going to get in the future, so you just panic. So the panic is triggered, So then we see others others actually selling, and then you assume that, oh, they know that you actually don't know at the moment, so you try and follow that. So we end up just doing what they're doing as well, even though we are uninformed. We don't know why they're selling. We're just thinking, oh, flip, like I think I mentioned the herd mentality when a group of sheep, I don't know what you call a group of sheep, when one sheep actually starts crossing the road, the others don't even check whether there's a car coming or not. They just follow. They'll see what happens on the other side of the road. So that the major issue that comes out here is that investors actually lock in losses, and that's very important because we're investing in an asset class which tends to be volatile. There's some sort of risk in it. So when you are selling in the weakness, you actually lock in that loss, because as an investor who wants to have gains over the long term, what you want to do is, if there's any bit of drop in your market value, you want to make that up again and then make some more. So when there's a bit of loss and then you sell, you're actually locking that loss in. And then now you're going to have to try and be clever and find another asset class that's going to make that loss up and then some more. So that's very, very difficult. So that one part is very, very important. There's also quite a bit of greed out there, and the fear of missing out, FOMO. So that is real out there. So I mean, so here investors actually tend to chase hot themes, hot stocks, sectors, trends, because everyone else is doing it with their own money. So I might as well just do it. And what comes from the greed part is also borrowing money. So instead of just investing the $100 that you've owned over some time and you worked hard for it, and you're like, okay, if I'm getting a return here, I might as well just go and borrow money, or expect the bank to actually lend me money and then put it in that same asset class, and then maybe I'll get a return. But the problem here is that, this is most of the time this is referred as leverage. So the problem that you get really hurt here, because you get hurt on the money that you own, and then you also get hurt on the money that you've borrowed. So if you invest in $100, you make a loss on it, and you also borrowed $100, and then you make a loss on it. Now you have to pay yourself and the person that you actually got the money from, which is very big. So unfortunately, Karabo, things like social media, they amplify success stories, so you feel like you're being left behind, so the emotional reward of being part of the action actually overpowers the rational portion of that. So on social media, unfortunately, you hardly ever see anyone posting about their losses. So if they're investing in 20 stocks and one of those stocks has returned, I don't know, 25, 30%, they're always going to be posting about that stock. So if they're making losses on the other one, you will never see them posting on it. So you watching that, you actually feel like, oh, you are really, really missing out on a lot of things. There's many others, Karabo, so like being overconfident, which tends to make people to trade way more than they actually should. So you're paying a lot of trading costs. There's also something called bias, very important. So this is when you already convinced of an idea, right? And then you buy into that idea, and then you go out and actually seek more validation for that idea. So you just biased on the good part of it. So this is actually making you completely ignore any other risks that you may have missed. So the result there is actually you just have poor diversification, and a word I've mentioned before. So you end up just putting all your baskets in one basket instead of just spreading it out on your risk.
That is actually beautiful. And I like the fact that you spoke about, trends, FOMO. We also had on the platform Renee Bosson, and we spoke about how not to get lost, in the hype online. And she also clarified that, which is really extraordinary that you mentioned that. All right, so with Siya, when we're speaking about, the mindset, right? So how does, long-term investing mindset, how can that help one protect themselves from making emotional decisions?
It's a very important question, this one, Karabo, because, and I'm saying that because in investing, you really need this as the foundation, the long-term investing. You're not gambling when it comes to investing. You're doing this for the long term. And over that long term, there's going to be short-term shocks that you need to absorb. So the long-term investing mindset actually acts as a kind of an emotional shock absorber. So there's a lot of volatility in the market, prices going up and down, people selling, over panicking, and all those things, and you just have to remain invested. So whether you like it or not, so there's always going to be volatility. So this kind of mindset actually accepts that. That's the first part. You accept it because you cannot remove the volatility. And then it also changes how one experiences it. So I'll make an example. On Friday, excuse me, on Friday, President Trump posted this long message about China and how the relationship is not going great, and he sounded really, really panicky in the message, and then just wanted to impose tariffs on their goods. And there was so much market sell-off on Friday. Everything was red. Almost everything was down. And then I think over the weekend or something, he literally posted again on social media that, look, I want to retract this. Well, he didn't say that, but he's retracting what he was saying. Everything will be good with China and whatnot. Suddenly, all those positions which were red, they're green again. So they're bouncing back now. So imagine if you panicked on Friday and sold off on those losses, and then you just keep, and then you hold on those losses. It's really how you actually experience volatility and what your actions are when it comes to these things. And long-term investors just have a look at that and be like, okay, this is just panic. Short-term, it's volatility. I will take it. Because over the long term, I know that the market prices actually tend to go up over the long term. So that's why I'm there anyway. So the long-term investing, the long-term investing mindset shifts your focus from being reactive to being very strategic. So a short-term investor sees let's say 5% drop as a crisis, while a long-term investor actually sees this as part of a normal cycle, or even a buying opportunity. Many people actually saw last week as an actual buying opportunity. Your stock that you actually wanted to buy into has dropped 10% or 5%. It's actually a good time to actually buy into. So that kind of thinking actually helps you stay invested rather than just panic selling at the wrong time.
All right, beautiful. So on the platform with Siya, I got to learn a lot on ETFs, exchange traded funds, from you and Buduma, and also Sister Lauren, Sister Renee got to speak a little bit on the index investing. So why are ETFs and index investing often referred to as boring but brilliant? And also in a space of boring, why is boring oftentimes such an amazing composite to cool down somebody, especially when emotions are running high, with investing?
Yeah, so well, that phrase actually captures the essence of ETFs and index investing, because those actually consistently outperform most emotional short-term strategies. So they outperform anyone who's trying to be clever with the market. And this is just not on just retail clients and their portfolios of holding stocks. This is also on an institutional basis as well. When we're looking at returns over the long term, when you're looking at funds, which we dominate quite a lot in terms of indexation and index funds, and also ETFs. When you look at those versus actively managed funds, most of the time, actually, those index investing, the boring ones, actually outperform the active ones. So, and one of the reasons, just to bring it back to just maybe someone who's just doing this on their own in terms of investing, boring actually removes the emotion part of all of this. So it removes them from the driver's seat. I mean, if we're all in a car and someone is driving our car, and every time they see an opportunity to overtake, even though they don't have to overtake, you're gonna start panicking every single time. They're reacting to everything. They don't have to, but they have to. They react. Whereas this guy who's driving 120 kilometers an hour, chilling, and we going where we're going, we are happy with that. We can chat in the car. So when you invest in an index or an ETF, you're not constantly choosing what to buy or sell. Excuse me. So the decisions are automated, they're rule-based, the fund is tracking a certain index. So you're not part of that decision. You just know that you are investing in the Satrix top 40. So the top 40 biggest companies in South Africa, that's your exposure, and you're done. You're not going to do anything about that. So there's no reaction to scary headlines, chasing hot themes, or panic when the market dips. And the lesser the emotional decision you have, the fewer the emotional mistakes you're going to have on your portfolio as well. So that's why boring also just relies on consistency as well. So excuse me, the consistent contribution towards your ETFs investments over time quietly actually builds massive results over the long term. You might look at your investment and you started yesterday and you're contributing 500 rands. Those 500 rands over the long term, every month, and you're investing in a particular ETF, that's giving you a very good return over the long term. You'll see that in 10 years or 15 years, that's going to make a huge difference in your life. And it was boring because you just automated the contributions and you picked an ETF and then just left it as is. So boring actually benefits from automation. And we touched on this on our previous conversation, Karabo. And when we spoke of using debit orders, automation as part of our investment automation. So ETFs make it easy to actually automate investing, because you can actually go to our platform, Satrix Now platform, and then you've got these different ETFs from Satrix. So if there's an ETF that you like, you want to invest in it over the long term, and you want to contribute towards it, you can actually set up a recurring debit order on that ETF. So every single month we pull in a debit order from your account, and that amount of money is invested automatically in that ETF over time. So that is quite, that the automated discipline actually builds wealth steadily and also stress-free. And lastly, boring protects you during emotional storms. When markets actually crash, traders tend to panic, but index investors know that the market as a whole has always recovered. You can go back to the early 90s. Even after wars, pandemics, crisis, 2020, COVID-19, the market is down 20, 30%. By the time the year ended in 2020, that entire loss was recovered and there was some more. So even after presidents have sent out panicked Twitter posts, there's always recovery over the long term. So that perspective actually gives you emotional resilience. So you don't need to guess which companies will survive. You own them all through the index that you're actually holding, as it is an entire basket of shares.
Yeah. And also, is there a way that people can, help themselves build, an emotional, buffer or a wall, or is there a way to automate, the process that will help them protect them from making their worst instincts or decisions?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think this is going back to what I was saying in terms of the emotions behind investing, is because there's always uncertainty. We never know what's going to happen. We might think there's peace in the Middle East, or there's less trade wars between America and China in terms of the markets, and we're good. But tomorrow we might wake up to a tweet or a message or some kind of media briefing that something's happening. And as long as the bases that you've covered, that you are invested for the long term, are there, you are going to experience volatility, unfortunately, when it comes to investing. And it speaks to your risk tolerance as well, because remember, there is a scale in terms of risk. The first one is take your money, put it under your mattress. The risk there is that someone's going to come and steal your money. But you're not owning any return on that fund. On your money. You can take that and put it in a risk-free check account. You're not earning any interest there. It's just sitting there. If it was 20,000, it's going to be 20,000 in the next couple of months, maybe even less, because the cost of the bank account are going to be taken off of it. And then you start moving to locking in your money inside a 32-day notice or 12 months notice, and then you earn a return there. And then once you start putting it into products that are actually making your money work from you, there's a bit of risk there. The risk is actually volatility. It's going to go down at some instances, but over the long term, it's going to go up. So that's where things like investments into ETFs and these different asset types in ETFs as well have different risk profiles. So you need to understand that part, but it's very important to just have it as a very, very disciplined way of actually investing, and also know that you are going to this over the long term as well.
All right, beautiful. Thank you so much, Siya. Before you leave, since this is your last, episode, you had 3 so far. Any last takes, comments you want to just give to the viewers before we never see you again?
Yeah. So I mean, in terms of investing, as I mentioned, it's quite emotional, and it's very important to go into it thinking that you are doing this over the long term. Whether you're still a kid in high school or first year at university, well, once you start, you must think of this as a long-term gain. But I think, in as much as I can give advice in terms of emotions when it comes to investing, it's not really an overnight thing. If you know you're an emotional investor, for instance, the best first step is actually isn't to learn more about the markets, but to actually remove yourself from the moment-to-moment decision making. If you're someone who is going into the investment game thinking that you are going to go in there, take a portfolio, do trading, you're not going to survive much in terms of investing. So I think, as I mentioned, automation makes the discipline of investing effortless, and over time it turns emotional investors into patient, long-term ones. So this also removes is this a good time to invest, or a question and the timing of the market. So you can't start a new thing that you don't know much about, and then suddenly you're trying to be all clever about it. And that's what you see most of the time. Literally, someone has started investing last week, but this week they're trying to outsmart the market. They're trying to pick stock, and they're trying to invest in a certain theme, because they're trying to outsmart it. The market has done 10%. They want to get 20%. They go into leverage. They borrow money, all these things. So you really can't start a new thing without actually just trying to understand, and also just making sure that you're not trying to be clever as you start. So in essence, I think for anyone who's out there, start small, and also try and do and make sure there's automation in your investments, especially when it comes to ETFs, unit trusts, or index managed funds as well. So go from being a trader to being an actual long-term investor, because you build confidence over time. You also replace emotions and habits when it comes to your investments, and you're no longer wrestling with when or how much to invest, or because you've already decided that at once. So that single choice of just making sure that your investments are automated, it's very, very important, and it can change your life over the long term. So very important to start, and also just automate your investments.
Beautiful. There you guys have it from Siya. To start, right? Start wherever you are. Primarily, in essence, it's just to begin, to start. Yeah. Siya, thank you so much, sir. Wish you all the best of luck in your endeavors and your journey. Thank you so much for being informative. The 3 sessions that we had, to share, your expertise, and just to give a little bit of guidance, especially when you step into the depths of investing, understanding, there's endless opportunities out there. Really, really, really appreciate you, sir. Have an amazing one.
Thanks, Karabo. Thanks to the team as well. It was really, really nice to be here again. Thank you.
All right, awesome. So we're speaking about investing versus long-term thinking, and I was joined in studio by the quantitative portfolio manager at Satrix, Siya, literally giving us some, ball of, nuggets and wisdom throughout the course of the journey right here at the Satrix Money School podcast. Stay tuned. Hey, come on. This is the Satrix Money School podcast, man. Give a huge shout out to Andile Khumalo and Siya Nomoyi, all the way from Satrix. Speaking about how to make money work for you, but also looking into investing versus long-term thinking. It's all about the emotional side of things. I hope you guys found this lesson informative as much as I have. Listen, I'm learning so much on this platform, and I'm for sure you guys are learning so much too. All right, don't forget to give us a shout out on social media, hashtag Money School Podcast. Cannot wait to hear from you guys on this awesome journey, all about financial literacy, the importance of money. I'm your host. My name is Karabo. See you guys next time. Peace.